healthy, thriving, loving marriage, then you have to be comfortable with the prospect of being wrong once in a while and not so comfortable with the prospect of hurting your partner, both of which require getting really good at saying, I'm sorry. In this second of a two-part series, we're going to use that mountain climbing analogy to help us understand the emotional exertion that's required to forgive, both to extend forgiveness, which was part one, and to request forgiveness, which is this video. I'll be your guide through the 5 camps that you're going to have to pass through on that challenging ascent to a real apology. I'll even show you what to say and how to say it if you want to get to the top of Mount Forgiveness. And I think you really want to. The view is out of this world.
You and me, we could be on top of the world.
Hi, I'm Ramona Zabriskie, and you could say that I've had a lot of practice in making apologies. In fact, after reading my book, Wife for Life, The Power to Succeed in Marriage, a friend who thought she knew us really well said, I had no idea that so much failure went into a successful marriage. I teach a lot from my 40 plus years as a married woman in that book, here on this channel, and in my one-of-a-kind signature course and community, the Wife Savers course and community, which you can find the link to right down there in the description box below. But science and authoritative research, in addition to my experience, are the real backbone of the Wife Savers approach to personal development and marriage success. For example, researchers have ferreted out the question, why is it so important to acknowledge and to address the fact that I've said or done something that has really hurt my loved one? And what they found is that if I don't, the relationship just freezes up and piles up layer upon layer of hurt and distrust. But if I apologize as soon as possible after the incident, well, the wonder forgiveness kicks in. The snow, the ice, it starts to melt. The hurt and pain, the anger between us is lessened almost immediately. And those feelings of closeness and connection, they can continue for a considerable period of time. In fact, studies have shown that apologies ultimately build stronger, longer relationships as long as those apologies are not begrudging, slow, or casual. In other words, a really genuine, powerful apology must be genuinely felt. That's A. And it must be effectively communicated. That's B. A lot of mountain climbers, though, they lose their footing on those two slippery slopes. So I'm going to show you how not to, or rather, how to do it right. Here are the 5 camps that you're going to have to pass through on that ascent up Mount Forgiveness. Base camp, recognize my responsibility. A heartfelt, heart-melting apology begins and ends, guess where? That's right, in the heart, in my own heart. I have to recognize my responsibility for the trouble at hand, not just my contribution to it. And honestly, this is the hardest part of the climb, just getting to base camp because my ego doesn't like it. It's just so tempting to chicken out and self-justify or rationalize my way out of an apology. But if I'm feeling defensive, like I'm ready to point the finger at anyone other than me, then I'll never make it to the summit. I can't even begin the climb. So it may take repeated visits to base camp before I'm really ready to recognize my responsibility. I made a mistake. Now that we've acclimated to the altitude, that is, we've elevated our attitude, we're ready to move on to camp 1, 2, 3, and 4. Camp 1, try to understand why I did what I did. As I think about the hurtful thing that I said or did within the framework now of personal responsibility and agency, meaning admitting to myself that no one, including my spouse, actually forced me to or made me say or do anything. So now, when I'm thinking about all that, I need to consider why. Why did I make that choice? Just me. Why did I make that choice to hurt this human being that I love? Is it because I'm hurting? But why? Or am I frustrated? Over what? Am I fearful? About what? Maybe I'm sad. Over what? Or am I just mistaken or completely ignorant? I need to spend some time here at camp number 1 to really sort out and figure out why I did what I did. I made a mistake. I wasn't thinking right because of this thing going on inside me. Camp 2. Think about how my actions affected my loved one. This is where I'm going to shift the focus from my heart and my thinking to his. Can I see things from his perspective? Until I can do that, I will not have the desire and the sympathy that allows me to really reconnect. So, even though it may stretch my imagination and my ego out of their comfort zones, I have got to spend however long it takes here at Camp 2 to get acclimated to the idea of seeing things from his point of view. I made a mistake. I wasn't thinking right. I can see now how it must have hurt. Camp 3. Admit my responsibility. In the beginning, at base camp, I had to recognize my responsibility. But now, further up the mountain, it's time to admit my responsibility to him. My loved one needs to hear my open acknowledgement of my real regret, and very specifically. Being specific will show that I really do understand what I did, and it will help him to believe that I really mean it. But there can be no buts about it. I have to resist the temptation to mix my confession, I did this, with my accusation. But you did that. That never works. And it is a very sorry substitute for the just plain straight direct. It was my bad in this way. Camp 4. Empathize and make amends. My loved one needs to know that I get it. I get how he must feel. I want to empathize with him, to him, because nothing melts a frozen heart like feeling validated and understood. But I have to be careful not to pretend to empathize in order to evade real responsibility. You know, the non apologetic apology. I'm so sorry that you were offended by what I said. The real thing that really relieves us both says instead, it was my bad in this way. I've tried to understand how you feel. Now, at this final, highest camp, I'm not just going to tell him. I'm going to show my loved one that I am heartfelt about setting things right. It is so important at this juncture to make some kind of conciliatory offer because, according to the researchers, people forgive in direct proportion or it's directly related to those conciliatory gestures. So, in other words, if I'm feeling abundantly sorry and I make considerable effort to make up for the incident, my partner is far more likely to forgive me and to do it far more quickly. But Don't assume that you know what will be meaningful to him that way. The best, most direct route to demonstrating my determination to do better is just to say, it was my bad in this way. I've tried to understand how you must feel. What can I do to make up for this? Then listen up. Just take seriously whatever he says and sincerely try to follow through on making amends. Then relax and wait. It may take him a while, just some time and space to process your request. But make no mistake, you've made no mistake in apologizing. You've climbed and summited your mountain. What a relief! What freedom! What a view! What a spectacular accomplishment. That being said, don't expect to wave your flag on the summit forever. I hate to break it to you, but before you know it, thunder's going to roll out of nowhere. The earth's going to shake. That mountain's going to open up, and you're just going to be right back at the bottom where you started. Forced to choose again, to ascend or not to ascend, to forgive or not to forgive, to apologize or not to apologize, to love or not to love. And as tiring and as formidable as that may sound to have to climb that mountain all over again, let me remind you that you know what you're doing now. And let me assure you from my own experience that it is totally worth it. After a near divorce many years ago, I can now say that I live inside a grand lifelong marriage. This is that kind of legacy love or romance where I feel not just loved, but cherished. And that has happened in large part because we have climbed Mount Forgiveness so many times. I stand there today with him, and every day I watch the women that I serve in the Wife Savers course and community do the same. They have climbed and summited their own mountains, and they just stand atop there with so much triumph and pride. I would just love to have you join us there. Let me know what I can do to help you that way in the comments below. And in the description box below, you'll find links to my book and my course and many other amazing helps, a lot of them free, including the newsletter that I can send you every week that's just packed full of love and support and inspiration. I'd really like to do that for you because I love being your wife saver. I'll see you at the top.